Welcome back to Market on Close. Let's talk gold and BTC taking part in today's strength. What isn't? Pretty broad rally. Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Let's start with gold to continue our conversation here, Scott. When we left off, you were getting ready for gold to challenge, possibly break through 1875. We got rejected, but it looks like we're making a move back there again. So how are you approaching this and monitoring its testing that resistance?
It is testing that resistance, Oliver, and that range that we have seen for about the last month or so has held pretty well. 1805 to 1870, 1875. We are testing it right here. I think it's going to take a couple times to really get up there, reject, and then break through. And I think we will see it break through this time. I just don't know if it's going to be imminently, as in the end of this week, maybe next week. But I do think that going into the beginning of 2021, which is only a few weeks away, we will see break through those recent highs.
Scott, do you think gold is responding to stimulus talks building again, Fed expectations?
No doubt. Yep. No doubt about it. I mean, you have maybe a double dose this week between the Fed and the stimulus talks, and the Fed not likely to do anything with interest rates. Maybe they change a little bit on their bond repurchase programs. I doubt it. And then now it's front and center news about the stimulus talks. And we've always said, at least, since talks broke down, let's call it in September, that it was likely that they would do something before the end of the year. And now we're kind of up against that timeline here, and I still see that happen.
So for gold, 1.4%, it's definitely a big notable move. To your point, you might have to test that resistance area a few times before breaking through. We did get there, and then we got hit, but we're also not extending the sell-off. We're not making new lows, which are still far below where we are, 1776 basically. A nice convenient number to remember for gold at the lows in November. But Scott, when you look at this, what happens in terms of gauging its potential after the event, right? Like once we actually get a deal, let's say they walk away, there's a headline tonight, stimulus is coming for $900 billion. Is there a move you need to see on the chart to make you feel better about owning gold? Does it need to respond? Because if not, then I'd imagine we have that kind of sell the news conversation again.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I don't want to buy it here, Oliver, even though I'm bullish on it. I don't want to buy it until we get up and actually make a move breaking through that top range there, because like I said, I think we can hit it there another time or two and reject off of it.
Okay. All right. So you're looking for a little bit more confirmation this time, see that it actually has the ability to push through there. Let's go over to BTC though, Scott. The trade you're looking at today is actually a Bitcoin trade. It's not necessarily through the futures. You're getting creative and I love it. You're looking at MicroStrategy, which has been levering up big on Bitcoin.
Huge, almost $1 billion worth between two different tranches that they've invested, recently. So yeah, this is definitely more speculative than I would normally do. However, it is completely risk defined. I do like, though, from a technical standpoint, Oliver, the entry point for MSTR MicroStrategy here, because there is some technical support here around that 275 area. So I'm going out to April and I'm buying the 360 390 call spread, $30 wide. Seems like that's really far away, but in terms of the expected move with the option market is pricing in, it's really not that far off, because the expected move, the option market's pricing in about an $80 to $90 move by then. So I can buy that $30 wide spread to the upside for about $7, which gives me really good reward to risk. So even though I am completely risk defined, I still look at this as a very risky trade, one that I typically don't trade, but I do like the upside. I think this can really burst out if Bitcoin bursts above 20,000, which, man, it's knocking at the door there. It is really knocking at the door.
Knocking. It's pounding. It's trying to break through. I like this, Scott, because for many people still, they don't really have a good way to trade Bitcoin.
Right.
They can get long, but also if they want to get short, it's very difficult. You got to go through the weird swamps I talked about back in the day when this stuff was first getting exciting with all the crypto moves. So, futures are pretty expensive too, and For those then that are looking at 20K price targets, MicroStrategy at 200 roughly, a little bit more than that, 285 now actually. It's either MicroStrategy, it's Riot, it's Overstock, but then Overstock is also an e-commerce play. So it seems like MicroStrategy, just based on the chart this last 2-month period, looks like a Bitcoin chart. I mean, it's clear that this thing's going to move with Bitcoin, right?
It should. It really should. And talking about Bitcoin, this really held. This sell-off that we've seen over the last couple weeks, since, it approached 20,000, man, did it hold there. We didn't see what we saw a couple years ago. And buyers have stepped into the market, whether it's because of inflationary concerns, the Fed, or truly just out of FOMO. The inflows into the Bitcoin space have been almost $1 billion in the last 2 weeks. Huge, huge. So again, if this thing makes a run at 20,000 and goes above there, MSTR probably tags along for the ride.
Scott, any thoughts on, and I know this is where everybody gets pretty excited, any thoughts on what to think about for price, whether for BTC or through MicroStrategy, if we do break? Because I'm with you there. To me, Bitcoin is all about price. It's the pure speculative instrument, and if we break to a higher high, especially if stocks aren't doing it, but that's a different conversation. But risk right now, Bitcoin and the NASDAQ have generally been both near the highs. It seems like both want to break out. I kind of approach them with the same idea, where if they do, and we find we can get above their all-time highs and really move, then it seems like we got room to run. The question is how much. I mean, how do you base a trade on that if there's the upside that some people say there really is for this thing?
It's really tough, Oliver. And the thing that I look at is when Bitcoin has broken out of a range, whether it is upside or downside, when it's been knocking on a door of support or resistance and it's finally broken through, that next move, which happens on a lot of volume, typically is about a 10 to 15% move. If you price that into Bitcoin here, you're looking at maybe 22 to 23,000 if this thing breaks through. Now, I don't know if that can happen in a week. It could happen in a day if all of a sudden shorts try to come in and really cover this thing. But we know how explosive this can be. But that is also why it is so risky.
Okay. Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Fun stuff.
Yes.
Bitcoin and MicroStrategy MSTR with the call spread, looking for some upside. Thank you, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Scott, when we come back, let's talk some more tech. Revisiting the work from home stocks.